Hi guys, Harry Sunday here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone. All that sporting stuff you can wear anywhere you want to wear it, guys. That's right. And don't forget the website it's on, thereisonlyonefootball.com.
There is only one football!
Yes, guys, we're going to all this live tonight from Roxburgh Park. Yes, from Australia, the CCP capital of Australia right now. Yes, we've got Carlos Bielli online very shortly, and our special guest tonight, Mr. Branko Cullina. We've got a big story to tell you guys about Melbourne Knights, how they started. Here we go, check it out right now, guys. Hup, 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 feel it. Hup. Check it out, oh yeah. Hup. The cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time. Don't ever stop. We shouldn't know. Gotta be strong. We shouldn't know. Right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your beat.
There you go.
No one can hold you back if you really want it.
Sydney United.
I see it in your eyes. You want the cup of life.
Gippsland.
Now the day's here, you're gonna get it. Do you really want it? Tell me right now, people! Here we go! Ali, Ali, Ali! Go, go, go! Ali, Ali, Ali! Tonight's the night! We're gonna celebrate! We are the people, we are the passion, we are the history, we're the soccer of Australia, and Frothy, it's our way, the highway tonight. We got special guests online. We got Mr. Carlos Bielli and our big special guest, Branko Cullina. Welcome, Branko, how are you?
Branko, is this Branko Bulovic or?
No, it's Branko Cullina, my friend.
Oh, sorry,
Branko, you there?
We've got them all on at the moment, haven't we?
That's right, Branko, you there?
Yeah, check one.
Is he there, guys?
I think.
Are you there, Carlos?
Maybe on the wrong show.
I am here.
Is Branko there?
I am, but I'm not sure where I am.
Well, nor are we, Branko. Well, Harry said to me he's got the great Branko on this Friday night, and I was all excited, and I thought it was Branko Bulovic. Remember Branko Bulovic, Branko?
Of course.
I certainly do. He was one of my favourite players, even though he played for the opposition.
He did play for the opposition. Now, listen, guys, I don't know if you can see us.
They will later.
But we have been given by our sponsor our new. Well, put it this way. We'll cut a long story short. It's our new tops, and they are basically soccer shirts. They've got our logo there. And we are the first two to sign up for the club. We're starting a five-a-side soccer team, Branko.
Exactly.
Now, Harry and I, we already filled a couple of spots on the court there. Now, we're hoping to get more players and staff. Now, Branko, would you be interested in coaching us? Do you think you could give it another crack, please?
Look, mate, I retired quite a while back because there wasn't enough talent in Australia to work with. But having heard the potential that Harry and his team have, I might be tempted to come out of retirement.
Unbelievable. There you go.
Well, that's fair enough. Now, Branko, I tell you what, we are all excited here because we've come up just quickly. I'm going to do a little segment with you, so people out there know who we are talking about. We call it Frothy's 30-second shot clock.
You better hurry up.
Oh, yep, it's going to take 30 seconds, and put it this way, if he gets it done in under 30... Now, what are they laughing for?
The whole crowd's laughing at me. I can't believe this.
If Branko can answer these questions in under 30 seconds, we have a prize for him.
There you go.
Okay. Now, Branko, are you ready? Now, Harry, put the clock on, please.
I've got it on now, right now.
Now, when I start, I want quick, short answers. Here we go. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Favourite movie?
Godfather.
Hardest opponent?
Sorry, what was that?
Hardest opponent?
Hardest opponent? Oh, gosh. George Hanna.
How do you like your steak?
Medium.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram.
Best soccer player of all time. Now, Harry, how are we going for time?
We got another couple of seconds.
Yep, we got another 20 seconds. Best soccer player of all time?
Alfredo Di Stefano.
Well, that's a good one, yeah.
Fantastic.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Of course.
Disco or rock and roll? Now, I've got a funny feeling I know he's going to say
Rock and roll.
Oh, God.
That's
and one last one, 28 seconds.
Listen.
Corona, real or not real?
Real.
Real.
Okay.
No, fair enough.
Now,
can I tell him what he's won?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Branko, what you've won a can of frothy. I'll be sending that out to you. It's empty, but doesn't matter. That's something that's... Look, it's the thought that counts. So it's an empty can of frothy.
No,
we can put it up there in your lounge room, and, well, it's a good...
Look, guys, it's more than I expected from you.
Actually, Branko.
Exactly.
I'll get our sponsor to send you a T-shirt. How's that one?
Yes.
That's what we'll do.
That is a
A
surprise.
footballer's T-shirt. How's that? There is only one. Now, Branko.
Well, I'm
and
done.
Carlos,
I'll see you next week, fellas.
He's gone to hell at that. I can't believe it. Now, Branko, we're going to talk about something very special here tonight to you and me, actually. We're going to talk about a name. I'm going to give you a name, and Carlos will be listening to this right now.
Here we go.
A club called Essendon Lions Soccer Club.
Yes.
Essendon Lions. Does that ring a bell to you right now?
It certainly does. It goes back a while, way back. In fact, it goes back to my start of my senior football career, or almost senior football career, way back in 75.
Yes.
Although I did start
75.
my senior career the year before in 74 at 16.
Yes.
But Essendon Lions was the club that I moved from St Albans
Yes.
to Essendon Lions, and then they became none other than the very great Melbourne Knights, or Melbourne Croatia.
Yes. Yes. Now, I'm going to give you these colours. These colours, because I played for them. I played for them as well, Branko. You not believe this? I played for them as well. Now, we're talking about colours here that were the body was the shirt itself on the front was navy blue.
Yes.
And the sleeves were gold. Is that right?
Yeah, they were the colours in 74 or prior to Essendon, Croatia taking over.
Yes.
By the time I got there in 75, we had changed the colours to red, white and blue, which were the Croatian colours of the Croatian flag. So, but they were the colours that Essendon Lions, who were back when they were called Essendon Lions,
Yes.
They were Ukrainian background.
Yes, exactly. And what I will tell you is, in 74, right now, in 1974, they came to a area of Melbourne to actually, how can I say this? They came there to expand the game.
Yes.
Of course, the World Cup was there, so they decided to go to a place called Tullamarine. Tullamarine, which was a new area of right near the airport there, and we were part of that. We were part of the area, and all these guys came there saying, "We're the Essendon Lions. We want to create a club in Tullamarine." So what they did was they actually got all these kids together, like myself, my brother as well, and started an under-15 team under Essendon Lions, and they call it Tullamarine Lions. So my situation was I wasn't under 15. I was under 17s. So what they did was Every time the team was playing at Tullamarine was playing a team there at Tullamarine Lions, they had to take me to the under-17s to play at, what was that park? Montgomery Park. So they were driving me to Montgomery Park to play under-17s there, Branko. So I wore that shirt that you wore at the beginning, or the Ukrainian community had. So what a coincidence that I was there at the same time. What a coincidence there. That was unbelievable, Branko.
Yeah, look, very fond memories back then, because for some of your listeners who may not know, Melbourne, Croatia, after 1970, got expelled from the Victorian Soccer Federation.
Yep.
I wonder why.
For some alleged crowd trouble, but I think it was more of a political decision that back in those days favoured some people. Anyway, to cut the story short, they were looking to get back into the top tier of Victorian football, and that's when Essendon Lions became an option, and the Croatian community, led by then coach Tony Vagina, got involved, and there was a takeover that involved some financial proposition, and Melbourne, Croatia was born Mark II, and from then on, we all know that it went on to bigger and better things, and created a very high profile in Australian football.
Now, I'm going to give you a figure here, and I'm telling you right now, in 75, when you played in 75, is that right, for Essendon Croatia Lions?
Correct.
Right? Now, a figure I will give you is $25,000. They bought that license for $25,000. Let me tell you about $25,000 in those days, Branko. In Melbourne, you could have bought a house for about $15,000 to $16,000, and $25 to buy a license. My God, they were cashed up. Is that right?
I wasn't aware that they paid that much, because back in those days, I think the average salary for a football player was around about $30. So
that's a lot of money.
It must have been a decent amount. But look, whatever the amount was, it was money well spent, because, as we know, Essendon Lions turned into Essendon Croatia, and then Melbourne Croatia, and then later on Melbourne Knights, when they took away the so-called ethnic names. And not only did they have a wonderful history in the Australian football, but created numerous Australian internationals and some fantastic players. So there was a couple of players actually that joined me at the same time. That went on and became household names in Australian football. Very young. One was Ken Murphy.
Kenny Murphy. Champion.
Yeah, went on and played for Australia, South Melbourne Howlers. A number of other clubs, and played for Australia under Frank Arrock. He only arrived in Australia. Well, he arrived from Scotland direct to play for Essendon Lions when he was probably no more than 18, 19 years of age. And he went on to achieve great things. But we had, Billy Wojtek was there at one stage. Hugh Gunn was there. Hammy McMeekin, who was an Australian international as well. Some big names. And then, of course, a couple of years later, Tommy Cumming, John Gardner, many other big-name players joined the club, and that was the backbone of what was to become, as I said, one of the best teams in the country.
And the thing about that is, 2 days ago, this is coincidence, Branko. 2 days ago, I was contacting Ken Murphy. I contacted him 2 days ago to get him on the show. So when we get him on the show, I'm going to ask him these questions about Essendon Lions as well. So that'll be fantastic. Now, Carlos, you got any questions for Branko?
I do. Before I ask you about your coaching career, what is your proudest moment as a player in the heydays of the Victorian Premier League?
Look, there were many. As I said, I was very fortunate to start my senior career at a very young age, first with St Albans, then with Essendon Lions or Croatia, played along some of the great names in Australian football. We had a lot of success. We won the Victorian State League, Doherty Cups multiple times, played for the Victorian State team. But I suppose individually was probably winning the Victorian Rothmans Gold Medal in 1985 as the Victorian Player of the Year. That was a personal achievement that stood out. But from a team point of view, definitely the time spent with Melbourne, Essendon Croatia, or Melbourne Croatia, where we had wonderful team, wonderful players, and tremendous amount of success, not only in the Victorian State League, but also in the Victorian Ampol Cup, where in those days the NSL clubs were involved as well, South Melbourne Hellas, Heidelberg, and so forth. We were actually playing in the Victorian Premier or State League, but we were good enough to beat the teams that were playing in the NSL in those days, which were the likes of South Melbourne Hellas and Heidelberg. I think one year we beat Heidelberg in a semi-final and South Melbourne Hellas in the final, or it could have been the other way around. But that's how good we were, even though we were in the State League. We had a fantastic group of players who were well coached by John Gardner back in those days. As I said, from a team point of view, that was probably the most successful time for me and the club.
Okay.
And as a midfielder, who were your role models back then that you admired? Today we look at Messi, we look at all these superstars, but who were the role models you admire as a midfielder?
Look, I was a big fan of a guy called Billy Wojtek and Jim Mackay. When I first came to Australia as a 10-year-old boy from Croatia, the first thing I did, I arrived on a Sunday morning, and on Sunday afternoon I was at Olympic Park watching Melbourne Croatia play against George Cross in a cup, in some kind of a cup, in front of probably about 15,000 people. And one guy that stood out above everyone else was Billy Wojtek. And, from that very day, he was a guy that I admired immensely, although I was a big fan of most of Melbourne Croatia players back then. But he was the one that stood out. And later on, we ended up playing together. But he just had something that made him stand above everyone else.
Now I have a small question for you. I've got one of the players that played in that era with you there, Branko.
Who was that?
King Kenny Taylor says he was there at Essendon Lions as well or something. He said King Kenny too. He says was there.
Can't remember. Ken who?
Kenneth Taylor. Kenny Taylor. Kenny Taylor.
Kenny Taylor. I remember Kenny Taylor, but not at Essendon Lions.
Okay.
I remember him at Heidelberg.
Okay,
At Heidelberg, when we would have played against each other from time to time. But,
yes. He said something there. I might have misinterpreted, whatever it is.
Misinterpretation.
That's right.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Yes.
I can't remember him at Essendon Lions unless he was there before me or after me.
He's now mentioning the right name. He's done it right now. Kenny Murphy he meant to say. That's what he meant to say.
Oh, no, Kenny Murphy, of course.
That's what he said.
Murphy.
It was now also another question from one of our members here. And I've got this one here, one of our best members here, Mr. He calls himself Stephen Holiday. He's always on holidays.
He's always on holidays.
Now, he says to me, you played for North Geelong, is that right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, look, I went to North Geelong in 1990 as a player coach.
Yes.
And I suppose, apart from the success at NSL and, with Sydney FC when I first went there, North Geelong was the club that I enjoyed the most and had the most success. We actually created an Australian record that still stands, and that was that we won the Division 1 Championship.
Yes.
Got promoted to the Victorian Premier League.
Yep.
And in our first year, we won the premiership, but won the championship as well.
Gee.
Against Brunswick Juventus, who were then up and down from the NSL. So that record still, I believe, stands after something like 26 years. Yeah, that was a tremendous achievement by and some of the players that actually played in that period, in that winning championship winning teams were the likes of Steve Horvat, Adrian Savinsky, David Savinsky, Francis Awaratifi had a bit of a go, Robbie Markovats. Who else would have been a pretty big name back in those days? There were many other great players. I mean, Eddie Kuzman was there. A guy called Mark Wilson was there. A guy by the name of Bogdan Bonk. Now, that's a very famous name, who was a Polish first division player who came out to Australia and was a wonderful player. He was in the twilight of his career by the time he played with us, but he was an outstanding player and a champion bloke. And he was another one that contributed immensely to a wonderful, wonderful team at North Geelong that I think everyone still talks about nowadays.
Just one more question I've got for you before I put Frothy and Carlos on. This is very amazing what you said about the Geelong area itself. The Geelong area must have had so many players come through there, big name players. Do you think that area will consistently have much better players there? Should they have had a team there in the A-League being there? And that's the thing. That's the question. They said Geelong or Western United, Carlos. This is the thing. Do you think that they should have had a team in Geelong rather than Western United when you're saying to me all these big name players from Geelong, you know?
Well, look, I always believed that Geelong was it's a footballing place. Yes. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we used to have a competition called the Geelong Advertiser Cup at the commencement of each season.
Yes.
And you'd have all the Geelong teams compete in that competition. And, of course, North Geelong was probably the strongest and won its fair share of the trophies. But in the final, you'd easily get 5,000 people to watch the final of the Geelong Advertiser Cup. But look, there were many good players in that region, and it was only 45 minutes from Melbourne, which meant that the centre of Melbourne, which meant that it was easy access for Melburnians to make their way out there. But Geelong is a multicultural place that loves its football. It loves its AFL, but it loves its football, soccer, as we call it.
Yes.
I must admit I was disappointed that they've never really had a top team in the top competition for a long period. I mean, we had North Geelong in the Victorian Premier League for a few years. Other than that, there hasn't really been anyone else. But they deserve a top team, not only in the Victorian Premier League, but probably even in the A-League.
Exactly. Now, Carlos, you're there.
Yes, I'm still here. Now, you're moving to coaching. What inspired you to go into coaching, Branko? And who were your role models as a young coach?
Well, look, what inspired me is probably lack of I think I was always a keen student of the game. I never probably showed that as a player. I was probably too selfish as a player, and maybe I surprised a lot of people when I became a coach because they thought, oh, this guy's, doesn't strike us as being a coach. But I was a very keen student. I travelled the world when I was still a player from probably the late 80s. I went overseas many times because in those days it was a lot harder to get information and about what other people were doing around the world. Today it's easy because you've got the social media and so forth. But I was always keen on finding out what other clubs did, and I remember always when Ferenc Puskás was at South Melbourne Hallis, going to their training session and watching them at Heidelberg with Len McKendry. I would do the rounds of all the clubs just to see what they were doing. And I used to have a little notepad with me, writing down their training sessions and what they were doing and why they were doing it. Even though at that stage I was probably in my late 20s, so I was still a player, but I started taking notes and information. The guy Tony Vizina was probably the guy who was an ex-Sydney United, Melbourne Knights, Preston Macedonia coach, who probably was the most influential. And unfortunately, we probably are not as close these days as what we used to be. Yeah. But he was very influential and very helpful in my playing career. From a coaching career, I was always inspired by, like everyone else, by the big shots, Capellos of this world, and always looking to find out what they did that was different. There was a Croatian coach called Tomislav Ivic who was very successful at Porto and Ajax Amsterdam. He was visionary. He was way ahead of his time. Who some people regarded as a defensive coach, but no, what he did was took a lot from basketball and transferred it to football, particularly without the ball. And so he was inspirational. He was the kind of person that I looked up to. But look, in Australia back in those days, the coaches were very basic. It was pretty much you turn up for training, you do a few laps and a bit of a game and a bit of shooting, and that was it. Today's coaching is far different. Today's coaches are far more different than what they were back then. As I said, when I first started as a coach, I was assistant coach, I was a goalkeeper coach, I was a physio, I was a doctor, I was everything. Nowadays, you've got cast of thousands. That's and right. It's so much different and in many ways better and more professional and easier.
This question will probably be very close to what Carlos is probably going to say very shortly. What made you go to Sydney? What was the reason that you had to go to Sydney? Was it for work, as in going to coach again, of course, Sydney United? But was there something before Sydney United there, Branko?
No. What happened was that I after leaving North Geelong, I was appointed to replace Kenny Murphy at Melbourne Knights. They had a slow start. And after about round 8, they decided to part company with Ken, and I was asked to take over. But it wasn't a very unanimous decision because they had a split up at board level. Yes. Some people didn't want Ken to go. Others wanted him to go. They approached me a couple of times about the role, and I knocked it back, which a lot of people don't know. I don't think even Ken Murphy knows that. Maybe you can ask him. But I didn't want the job whilst Ken was there, and I told them. So they said, well, what if he's not there? I said, well, when he isn't there, you can then come back to me and we'll think about it. Because at that time, as I said, I was coach. I just finished coaching North Geelong, and, I thought my time would come. Anyway, they decided to part ways with Ken, and they said, look, we haven't got a coach now. Would you be interested? And I said, yes, but I think for me the timing was wrong because what happened, the board was split. Half the people didn't want me. Not that they didn't want me, but they didn't want they were unhappy with the board. I was caught meat in the sandwich. I also made a mistake being a young coach. We had a very aging team with a lot of experienced players, but who were at the tail end of their career. So what I did was halfway through the season, I brought in with the likes of Mark Viduka, Frank Juric, Steve Horvath. I brought a very Oli Ponderak, Ivan Kelic. He was actually there before me. I brought a very young side in on the basis that if I use that remaining 6 months of the season, we would have a very good team the following year. And so I started blooding people like Mark Viduka and all these other young players. In the meantime, the board that brought me in got replaced by the old board. And as soon as they got replaced, they got rid of me. And they brought in a coach from Croatia called Mirko Bazic, who took over. And with the players that I brought in and and that we blooded for 6 months, went on and won the championship that year, NSL. So we did something good, even though we got no credit for it.
Well, hang on, Branko. But you blooded Mark Viduka, and if it wasn't for you, where would we have seen him in the first after that?
It wasn't just Mark. It wasn't just Mark Viduka. Mark Viduka was a big shot in those days, but we had people like Frank Juric, who went to Bayern Leverkusen after, Steve Horvath, Adrian Savinsky, David Savinsky.
Oh, my God, look at these names.
Many, Oli Pondeljak. So many of these guys who were young guys but had enormous potential, and I knew them well, just needed a bit of time. And if you look at my history as a coach, you'll see that wherever I've been, I've always given young players a chance because I believe in giving people an opportunity, then it's up to them to show us what they're capable of. But I think the mistake I made was that Melbourne Knights at that time, or Melbourne Croatia, was in a difficult political situation, and the players, the older players, had a very good relationship with the board that had just come in, and of course they got rid of me, and as I said, the rest is history. But I'm still pleased because people that understand football and what we did the right thing. We were grateful to the experienced players, what they did and all of that, but they were at the end of their career, and we blooded these young players who, as I said, went on and not only won a championship, but later on became household names in Australian football.
Socceroos. And Frothy, what have you got for Carlos? Branko.
Branko. Now, Branko, I agree with everything you just said. We like the fact that you mentioned, and we've seen all your coaching career through from years ago to the A-League and all this. The right answers on giving some young guys a go, because if you don't, we just keep on seeing the older guys keep going around. And it's a very, very good answer. Now, listen, we have a member from Sydney, Valandis, and he said to me that I look a bit like Theo Salamides and I.
Theo's right next to you.
Theo Salamides. And he also said to me he wants you to compare these two players. Who would go down as a better player, Branko or Jason Cullina?
Here we go.
Oh, there's no... just on Theo Salamides, by the way.
Yes.
He was one of those players that I probably did cut a bit earlier. But having said, he was an exceptional player, Theo, but he was already getting on. And I had a very, very good player that was coming in, played the same position as Theo. His name was Steve Horvath.
Oh, we know him.
And Steve Horvath obviously... went on and played for Australia, played for Hajduk Split in Croatia and all of that. But Theo Salamides certainly played his part, not only Melbourne, Croatia, but in Australian football with what he did at Heidelberg as well.
Now, Branko, we know you're avoiding the question here. Where he wants us to ask you, Branko or Jason Cullina, who would be... give us your honest opinion.
Look, that's an easy one. Of course, it's me. I was much better than Jason.
We forgot to say something. And now, Branko, we forgot to say this, and we'll bring Carlos on next. It was Jason's birthday last week, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 5th of August. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, happy birthday to Jason. There you go. Is he watching us right now? We'd like to know. Does he watch you when you come on?
Maybe later on we can sing the song.
We can send him a cheerio. How's that?
Now, Branko,
he's got absolutely zilch interest in my in my media commitments.
Can I just say something to him? I'll say something to him. Please, Jason, look after Dad, mate. Please.
Well, absolutely.
Look after him, please. He brought you up where you are right now, my friend.
Exactly.
Please look after Dad. Please. Is that good to say?
No, look, I'm very proud of what he's achieved.
Yes.
And as I said, look, I'm a very fortunate person in Australian football. Apart from having been involved deeply in the game, myself as a player and as a coach, I've been fortunate enough to be a father to one of the, and I'm being a bit biased here, one of the best midfielders the country's produced.
You're not biased at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
We'll tell you that.
as I said, I couldn't ask for any more in football than what I got, both for myself and him. And I've got another son, actually, Dean, who was good enough to almost make the Olyroos squad in 2000. So very fortunate in what we've been handed out in football. Sometimes I feel that I was hard done by some decisions, but all in all, as I said, I'm very proud of
fantastic.
Branko,
of what we've done.
Can I just say this? I saw something. This is probably comedy minute time, Harry.
Oh, really?
I read this today.
Carlos is waiting for us.
Is Carlos there? Is he
of course
having a glass of wine?
He's waiting for us.
He's probably having his Cuban cigar too in the background. You never know. Now, Branko, I've read something funny today. They said, who would you have at your team? Now, these are current A-League players going around. And I reckon it's a joke because there's a clear winner here. I don't know how they could compare one player who I'm about to say. Now, we have Lafondra, McLaren, Fornaroli, and Matty Simon. Now, are they for real? Is this a real question? Or, I mean, McLaren must stand out by a mile, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I saw that myself, actually, and I sort of smirked a little bit because some of those players that were compared, it's a no contest. But look,
well, absolutely.
I'm not sure that there's a difference in today media and the media we used to have back in the old days as well.
That's
Look,
true.
in the old days, you had a lot of media people who were absolute football. How can I say?
Experts.
No. Well, I don't know about experts, but they football was their life.
Educated properly with the game. That's right.
Look, if you look at Melbourne back in those days when I was growing up, there were two particular people that used to write about football, but everyone knew them. Everyone respected their opinions. They were Peter Desira and the late Laurie Schwab.
Yes.
Who wrote for The Age. And when they, wrote something, people used to take notice, and they were very, very well researched. Today, you get a lot of these so-called media.
Oh, yes.
They multitask. They have multi-jobs around, and you get them, and they report things that they don't even check. They don't have a passion for the game. They don't know the people in the game.
That's
so
right.
they end up asking stupid questions and reporting stupid stuff.
Oh, we've heard that many
and
times.
that's really frustrating.
It's frustrating because Channel 9 the other day, I don't know if you're watching the morning show, they were going on about how we're trying to get the World Cup back here. Obviously, the $50 million failure last time. And instead of advertising and making it sound like obviously the biggest event in the world, whether you hate or you love the game, and the way they came across on Channel 9, they were having a dig at the round ball. And I said, well, you guys, and like you said, they just cover all the sports. They have no passion, no love. At least they could have pretended that they really want the game. They had a laugh, and it was all like, let's just announce it to get it out of the way. Now, then they wonder why the game can't grow here. If the news can't come across as genuine news instead of making a mockery of it, well, since then I've banned Channel 9, Harry. I'm on Channel 7
now. Carlos, are you there?
Is he there?
Yes.
Your turn.
Well,
Come on.
But isn't the question about football news, isn't up to the clubs themselves to generate the football news when we don't have football coverage because AFL and NRL takes over the coverage?
Good point.
Yeah, but Carlos, when do we stop doing that? I remember doing that years and years ago. I mean, I'll give you an example. Years ago, the two examples. One example was way back in '92. North Geelong played Brunswick Juventus in the Victorian Grand Final, and Peter Desira, who tried very hard to get coverage in the Melbourne Sun, was doing stories, but they never got printed, or they just got a few sentences. And he rang me up on the day before the game, and he said, Branko, I really want to publicise this game, but there's, it's the grand final, but my editor won't give me the space.
What?
How do we make this, interesting?
Bring
I
it to
said,
everyone's
I'll tell you
attention.
what.
That's the one.
I said, look, how about you say that, we're going to spank this Brunswick Juventus, because Brunswick Juventus at that time got relegated from the NSL, and they had to win to get back into the NSL, or was trying to get back into the NSL, because back in those days we did have something called promotion and relegation, unlike these days. And we made out a story that we're going to spank them and that we're better than them and all of that. And somehow he managed to get almost 2/3 of a page in the Melbourne Sun on that basis, but big letters. Cullina threatens, Brunswick Juventus to some extent. Brunswick Juventus was so angry with the comments that I made, that they weren't interested in beating North Geelong. All they wanted to was smash Branko Cullina, which was good which was fine, because it took away that attention from my team, and it sort of got Brunswick Juventus focusing on me more than the team. But I did that for two reasons. One was to make sure that my players didn't have any pressure, and secondly, to generate interest in the game. Otherwise, you'd have a grand final of Victoria.
That deserves a round of applause.
Yeah. And then another time was in 1994, I think, I came to Sydney to coach Sydney United, and John Taylor wrote for the Sydney Daily Telegraph, and he was another one that had difficulty with his sports editors getting enough space. And I had a very star-studded team, including one Jelko Kalac, who was a bit of a eccentric character.
Yes.
And I said to John Taylor, you're going to promote our game tomorrow? He goes, I can't. He said, I write stories and I can never get them in or I get a few paragraphs because the editor doesn't think it's worthy enough.
Discrimination.
I said, gee, it's a shame because, I had a big story for you. He said, what? I said, I was going to drop Jelko Kalac because he's just getting ridiculously, difficult to handle. And I've had a gutful of his antics, and I'm going to drop him for the game. And he goes, are you really going to do that? And Jelko Kalac was playing for Australia at that time. And John Taylor said, look, can I get back to you in a few minutes? So I go, yeah, sure. I said, but it's a shame. Anyway, he calls me back. He goes, can you give me the story? So I gave him all the story. It was bullshit, but of course.
It works. It works.
And the next day, we had half a page in the Sydney Daily Telegraph saying that Jelko Kalac to be dropped for the game against, I don't know which team it was that we were playing. But that's the kind of thing that back then we had to do. And as a coach, I probably got a lot of the times myself into trouble by saying certain things that I didn't really want to say, but I had to do it because I had to promote the game. And I was outspoken, and many people got the wrong idea, maybe impression of what type of a person I was, because I used to say things that I felt were needed to be said to promote the game, but others interpreted it that I was big mouth, that I thought I was arrogant, and et cetera. But we don't have that today, which is unfortunate. We don't have characters either. Every coach tells you.
That's what I was going to mention right there. If you got no characters, you got no news. Is that right, Branko?
Well, look, certainly in my days, we had to work hard to promote the game. And today, as I said, it's a lot different where people tell you just the very basic things that you want to hear. No, to promote the game, to let, I never lied to the people. I just made sure that, I sensationalized things a little bit more so that they would get coverage. But today, as I said, we don't have those characters. We don't have people who are prepared to speak up their mind and promote the game. And that's unfortunate. And maybe, as Carlos pointed out, we need to address that and do something about it, because as we can see, the mainstream media is very pro if you're in Melbourne, AFL, or Sydney, Brisbane, NRL, and so forth.
That's
so
right. We've been saying that.
football has to work for its own
That's right.
publicity.
Now, Carlos, some more, please.
Can I ask Carlos a question?
Go on.
Now, Carlos.
Yes.
Listen. Our great mate Branko said that we wanted to get stories out there many years ago, and we couldn't get them out there because other sports were more important, what have you, and all this crap. Now, can we open a case again and take him to court for discrimination? Now, would you be interested in representing our code, Carlos?
Absolutely.
Let's open the case because I tell you what, they are jealous of our game.
Profi.
It is, and I am really, as Harry would say, I am absolutely furious here because it is the world game, and I've said it before. People might laugh because I have a couple of drinks, but I've said this before, and I've said it many times.
I'm praying right now.
They purposely go over the top when it comes to the football, which is the real football. There it is, only one football there.
Get done here.
And just like Branko said, you watch the Fox Sports News, they give a major run, a 5-10 minute story on a game where nobody gives a crap in Melbourne, and they tell us here.
Yeah.
And then it comes time for the A-League, and you might see 20-30 seconds of highlights. The problem was around then, which we knew of, and it's still happening today. But Channel 10, now we might see something different. Channel 10 free-to-air games.
Paramount Plus.
Now, I bet you now the Channel 10 News will cover our great game like never before.
We hope so.
Because do they cover any other sport, Harry, Channel 10?
They don't.
So the main game is the round ball.
They cover actually what's that sport there they play in Ireland? What's it called again?
The Gaelic football.
Gaelic football. That's right. Yeah, they're doing that too.
Well, let's see now if he gets more recognition, more airtime, more exposure. I mean, that's what we need. But they keep killing it. It's actually almost dead at the moment. But let's see how we go. Right. Now, Branko, can I just say? Now, remember Melbourne Heart? They obviously weren't doing too well, so they took away their colours and their name.
Yes.
Now, can I make a prediction here, Harry?
Yes.
The Western United Ninjas, we like to call them, they will be going up the road to Geelong. They're going to be called Geelong United.
Are you serious?
Well, I tell you what, I've got inside news. People might think I'm talking crap here, but I'm not.
Oh.
Branko, you wouldn't believe who I know up here in the round ball code. But now, as Harry would say, watch this space.
Exactly. Now, Branko?
That's all I've got to say about that.
Branko, we'd like to thank you tonight for joining us. We thank you for your very professional stuff that you talk to us every time we speak to you.
Branko should still be in the game.
Of course. Why can't you be in the game, Branko? Why can't you still be organised and coaching? I had some guy here saying to me right now, one of our members, which is Stephen Holiday again. Stephen Holiday saying, you should coach. He said this right there.
And we are
the Gold Coast Knights. Would you be interested in Gold Coast Knights?
Gold Coast Knights. Well, why not?
Gold Coast Knights?
Yes.
Good weather up there. Good surf. Can't go wrong, Branko.
It's a good weather over there. My son Jason lives over there as well, so that would be handy.
Well, you can move in with your son and he can make a comeback. Maybe he can play for the Knights.
Apparently, they've actually put him for the second division, so there you go.
Ooh,
there you go.
Watch this space.
Well, you never know. You never know.
That's right.
Look, I love football, and as I said, football's been good to me. I still believe that I've got a lot to offer, but unfortunately, there's some people out there feel that. And look, if I have a bit of a gripe, it is this, that we sometimes fail to recognise and reward experience and knowledge. We write them off, and I'm all for giving young players, young coaches a go, because I think that's the future.
Absolutely.
But you can't neglect experience and knowledge either, because that is something that every organisation needs and wants. And then when it presents itself, they just ignore it. I think there's room for both. There's room for youth, future, but also to have people who've got the experience, who've got the knowledge, who've been there, done that, made those mistakes, and are now able to guide the younger generation to bigger and better things for the future.
Exactly. Branko, thank you for joining us tonight. your experience on this show. We get a lot of
very
people
clever man.
watching this show. And a lot of people have come up tonight. So what I'm going to do is, when I finish this show tonight, we're going to do an edited version, and I'll be
Yes.
sending you the edited version as well. And also, Branko, I'm going to speak to our sponsor who's talking to me right now saying, forget calling the game the round ball game because there is only one football. That's what he says
There
too.
is only one-
So
well,
I'm
there
going to
is,
get
yeah.
him to send you a T-shirt.
Only one
There is
football.
only one football T-shirt. Would you like one?
All right, guys. Yes, please, and thank you, and keep up
Thank
the
you.
good work. And
Thank you.
Carlos, thanks for your questions tonight
My
as well.
pleasure always, and we hope we chat soon
Exactly.
again, Branko.
Hold
All
on
the
there.
very best. Actually, guys, Carlos was one of the journalists that took his time to interview me when I was probably given one of the one of the biggest recognitions in my career, and that was
Fantastic.
2 years
The
ago.
Hall of
I
Fame.
was,
Hall of
I was
Fame, yes.
I was inducted into the Australian Hall of Fame, and Carlos was one of the
Fantastic.
journalists there that interviewed me. So, yeah,
Fantastic.
thank you, Carlos, and
My pleasure.
thank you, guys, and all the very best.
Thank you, there. We'll get you sometime in the future there, Branko. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
See you, bye.
See you,
much.
Branko. Thank you.
Carlos, hold on for us, please. Are you there, Carlos?
Wow.
I'm here.
He is an amazing person, believe me, and we are absolutely furious. Like I say, I'm furious, Carlos, that he's not in the game. This is ridiculous.
Well-
this is a sort of person that needs to be coaching or doing some official capacity somewhere, Carlos. What do you think?
Oh, God, I tell you what.
Well, he's probably the most knowledgeable and
He is.
qualified
Of course
coach
he is.
we have. But we could also say the same things about the older coaches who have a wealth of knowledge at
Yes.
Les Chanfleu,
Yes.
Raleigh Ratic, Bertie Mariani, and the list goes on, who haven't been tapped for whatever reason to contribute what they know. I mean,
Yes.
football, has evolved, but the ideas remain how we coach young players. So he's not the only one that is forgotten. But once again, we have such a small market,
That's
Harry,
right. I know that.
with only 12 teams in the A League. So there's only 12 positions to go around. 12 teams in NPL, going to 16 next year. And the biggest news from New South Wales is officially Football New South Wales has canned the whole season
This is ridiculous.
till next year. So because of COVID restrictions, it's become quite clear that
crazy.
they won't be lifted in 2 weeks. So Football New South Wales bit the bullet and just postpone the whole season till next year.
This is ridiculous.
Well, Carlos, you hit the nail on the head there. Now, guys like Bleiberg and Cullina, we
course.
just spoke to,
Big names.
Yeah.
and all the other names you mentioned. Now, I tell you what, something needs to be done in this game to get, like we've said before, a few more people at the grounds and blah blah blah. Even if they can employ him as a specialist coach or
Of course.
third coach down the line, because yes, you need the
course.
younger coaches with a younger style of play or what have you. But like he said, let's get some very experienced coaches who got their names on the board. Oh, what's so funny about that? They're all laughing here. Sorry, Carlos. It's a bit like Harry and myself. We got the older guy here to my left, and you got the younger guy me.
Oh, my God,
Now,
look
when
at
you
that.
put them both together, we have a team. It's as simple as that. They should. Some of these guys that you mentioned should be going around in some capacity at these clubs to put in their 2 bob and possibly get it up and running a little bit better than what it is, because it's pretty down at the moment, Harry.
Well, what Carlos, what he said before, when he was coaching at Melbourne Knights, what was he bringing in, Carlos? He was bringing the younger players. He brought in Viduka. He brought in Horvath. He brought in Frankie. He brought Juric.
The Savinskis.
These guys, Savinskis and all these, they were young players.
Branko
And
Bulovic.
To tell you the truth, Carlos, he knows about young development, and that's where he should be used, you know?
Oh, look, he's not the only person whose talent
Yes.
haven't been utilised. We could look across the workforce, and anyone over the age of 55 has so much talent,
Yes.
so much experience to give. They are the forgotten generation.
It is.
Branko is not the only coach. You could actually have the same. We could say the same thing about AFL, rugby, and NRL, anyone over the age of 60 seems to have a use-by date, and old school hard work, discipline doesn't seem to cut it anymore. We have to, pander to these people, tell them they all know. Sometimes old school discipline and hard work gets the rewards. Branko's not the only person in this country whose talents are not utilised.
Yes.
Well, it's
a lot more.
It's a shame.
Carlos, old school is more common sense than new school.
Of course.
And when we had Craig Johnson on, another champion footballer. I mean, there's no question there that you won't get an argument from us. Now, here's another person that is tried to approach the A-League, just like Con Butsianis and all these other guys.
Andrew Burnell.
Andrew Burnell. These are all Socceroos. And they just keep on ignoring him. And, the other codes that watch in, and this becomes exposed that they're offering their services, they must be having a laugh. It's like getting Wally Lewis and the NRL say, no, we don't want you to have any input. We're talking about King Wally here. You remember King Wally?
Of course, I remember him very well. I've spoken to him.
You played with King Wally, didn't
I
you?
did, yes. I played bowls with him.
Well,
for the
however, with James Johnson at the helm, who has come through the football ranks and also a next youth international,
yes,
I think the wheel might be turning.
Should be.
And I think we should be bidding for the 2034 World Cup, and why shouldn't we bid for it? We need to dream big, and we have the chance for New Zealand and Australia to showcase what we could do for the Women's World Cup, and it will be a success. And the World Cup, we should be aiming, and I think with James Johnson at the helm, surrounded by other people who grew up with football, I think soon enough these wise men of football will be tapped on the shoulder to say, come and contribute to the growth of the game.
Exactly. Now, Carlos, we thank you tonight for joining us as well.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have you on next week again. We hope to get some more.
The pleasure is mine.
We hope pleasure's ours as well. And we hope to get Kenny Murphy on next. I can't believe he spoke about Carlos. He spoke about Ken Murphy playing for the Essendon Lions, and also I spoke to him. Sent him a couple of messages to get him on the show next week. Yes. This is an absolute amazing Socceroo story for him as well, as Scotsman as well.
I would like to hear what Kimon Tagliadoro was on the news. I would love you to interview good old Kimon Tagliadoro.
We've asked him many times.
He
doesn't want to come on our show. He hates us.
I don't think he's a follower of the show. But nevertheless, Carlos Bielli, is it true that you run CC City Lawyers in Sydney?
Of course he does.
I do indeed. And we're still open for everyone to come and see us.
That's right. And you are the lawyers that come to you, they say. Well, you'll pay them a visit. You'll travel anywhere, won't you?
Absolutely. I will come to Melbourne to defend you if I could.
www.ccitylawyer.com. There it is.
Carlos, thank you for joining us tonight. And we'll see you next week on 9 p.m. on Friday. How's that?
What a lineup.
And thank you for having me once again. Thank you,
Carlos, for joining. Thank you, guys.
Cullina.
That's right.
Harry Sunday.
Thank you.
Frothy
now, we're going to get Mr. MPL for a few minutes to see what's doing in Melbourne. We are trying to do a bloody football revolution and attack the Premier and his mates.
Listen,
I'm going to go crazy here right now, mate.
Look.
You get on him.
Listen, call Mr. Gav there, because I've got a few questions for him. I want his input.
We want to promote our shirts tonight too, by the way.
We're going to promote the shirts, but I'm going to ask him a few questions here. There's a gentleman his name is John. Now, I won't give you the surname yet.
Please don't. We're in trouble if you do that.
No, it's not the
We're going to call this twice again because of the bloody bullshit phone.
First time.
You go buy your bloody Chinese phone.
If you try again, it'll be 2 times.
Bloody Chinese phone.
It must be one of those Oppo phones.
It is bloody, that bloody phone, mate.
Look, now, Gav, are you there? Gav, hello, Gav.
He's not here yet, mate. Hang on. I've got to get him on. Gav, you better hurry up, mate.
You better hurry up before Horace flies over.
He's coming, the bloody mug. What'd you say that for? He's stirring us up now, that bloody idiot, mate. Are you there, Gav? He says yes, but he's got to be here, man. What the hell's going on in here?
What do you mean yes? Well, doesn't he answer
the
bloody mobile phone?
His sister's going to answer it in a minute.
Come on, I mean, bloody
The sister's going to answer it. He doesn't hurry up.
Well, hurry
The sister.
up, Gav. It's nearly
I
bloody...
told you.
There's a
is not
Geddy's off.
available.
That must be Brittany.
It's nearly bloody
Bloody, you've
midnight.
got to do it. But bloody Brittany on the
Jeez,
phone again. The
come
bloody
on, Gav.
Gavin, up your bloody
Come on,
phone,
I'm
mate.
out of bloody piss.
Buy a new
Come
phone,
on.
will you? For God's sakes, buy a new bloody phone, mate.
Now,
Horace
what's
is
your
going
man to the phone now?
Hey!
Off you bastard.
Hi.
How is it?
Boys?
How come we got to call you twice? Got to ring you twice, mate. It's like rolling out the red carpet out for you, mate. What's going on here, man?
Crap Chinese phone, like you said, Harry. How you
Oh, I
going
never said
anyway?
that Friday, did.
Hey, Gav.
How you going?
Oh, we are doing very well here.
We tried to be anyway.
Good, mate. It's good.
I'm looking after Harry tonight. I'm
Please.
believe it or not, I'm his carer.
He's my doctor.
I understand.
I
Good,
am his
mate.
carer, and
I'm feeling sick right now.
yes.
I'm feeling sick right now. I need help.
I have the letter.
I need to go and blow.
The Department of Health, and
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Stop the blow. I'm going to blow in a minute, mate.
well, listen, John Caravazzis. Do you know who John Caravazzis is, Gav?
No, John Caravazzis. No. Not
Yes,
really.
Must be an idiot.
Well, he's obviously not Scottish. Now, John Caravazzis, he wants to ban... Well, he's from Generation 3 football. He wants to ban all scores in junior soccer.
Why is that?
Now, I think the guy's on drugs. I mean, there's nothing better when you're a kid.
Hey, you know what? Guess what? Attack him! Get him!
Get the gun.
bloody mug. I'm gonna...
Now, listen, sorry about that.
A mug, mate,
Horace
that bloody idiot.
flew over again. Now,
Time
there's...
football comes back, mate. No kids that want to play anyway, mate. This world's stuck.
Well,
mate. Yeah,
tell me about it.
You know, is there anything better? And we know your little one plays the great game now. And we had little ones, and there's no better feeling when juniors play. I mean, that's fair enough. If they got the right coaching and the right facilities, they can obviously improve and get better. But there's no better feeling when they finish the game and the dad says, "How many goals did you score today, little Johnny?"
Of course, you need it.
Now, you can't take that away.
That's
I mean,
bullshit,
that's
Gavin.
something to brag about. You're going to have top goal scorer. Who are they going to give the top goal scorer
who's this
to?
bloke?
The kids know. Like the
What's
kids
his name?
know if they won or
Name is-
lost as well. Like
What's his
my
name?
daughter's 7 years old. She knows when they've won and she knows when they've lost. You know what I mean? They're not stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
she can count very well. You know what I mean? She knows what's going on. So
his name?
they've won. My daughter's team's won 3 games
know
this
who he is.
year, and every time, mate, at the end of the game when they've won, just come up and goes, "Oh, how come's that, Daddy? We won."
Oh, look,
So they know.
look,
That's crazy. It's a crazy idea.
it is a great feeling. Let me tell you something,
I have a
Gav.
message for him.
When my little one played, my younger one when he was little, I got 2. I remember telling him, if you score more than 3 goals, you're going to get 6 nuggets. And he gave him a bit more... I mean, obviously, he took after Dad with junk food, but... just to hear him say at school, I scored 3 goals, or I scored
That's
2,
what we do, mate.
or I
We go
scored
back
4.
Every away game, mate, on the way home properties. We always stop at Macca's on the way home, mate.
I have a message for this bloke.
Harry's done some research, and let's
John
listen up.
John Cassavetes.
Cassavetes, isn't
No,
it?
John Cassavetes.
Cassavetes.
Stick to your bloody acting as an actor and stop the bloody game. Stop bloody playing with your balls there. Let the kids score goals, mate.
well,
now, by the way, that
you know.
actually rhymed there, didn't it, Gavin?
Well, it sort of did.
that's
now,
right.
Gav, you and Harry are going to be excited what I'm about to say here.
You better hurry up.
Because
Running
you
out of data,
guys
mate,
sorry, Gav, we're a bit low on data. How much time have we got?
We've got to go 3 minutes at least.
We got
4
another
minutes.
3 minutes. Now, you and Harry are going to be really excited here because you're big fans of the NSL. So am I, but I'm a bigger fan of the A-League, let's be honest
shit.
there, Harry. The glory.
Bullshit, you will, mate.
And Essendon, obviously, too, property.
Yes. Ooh.
Essendon as well. They got the Essendon jumper on.
No, they're not.
Well,
They're
listen,
booing him now, mate. They're booing him now.
Now, Gav, we're trying to get some
Gavin.
members in our 5-a-side team. We will talk about that a bit later on. But the glory are going back to the future. Now, did you see the news?
No, I don't care about them.
Well, you
No,
should
what
care.
happened?
They're an ex-NSL club.
We know
they
that.
are donning the retro badge for the upcoming season.
Oh, really? The NSL one? The
they're
NSL
gonna-
badge?
Back to their first one of their.
Are they
their
really
first-
going to put the NSL badge on too?
Hasn't changed that much in over the 20 years.
Well, sort of. It was just the writing and the yellow sun, whatever it is up there. But well, that's good. Just a bit of a.
No, it's good. It's good.
I challenge.
Who do you challenge?
That bloody owner of what's his name again?
Peter Sage, is it?
Peter Sage. Now, Sagey, I want to tell you something right now.
Well, tell him.
If you're going to go all the way, you're going to go all the way and put the NSL bloody logo on there, mate, and stuff the rest of them, mate, because you guys came from the NSL. Stuff yous. Is that right?
That's right.
The frothies, they need to get chicken charcoal back on board.
That's right, yes.
Mate, do you remember that?
Chicken charcoal, that's right, mate.
Chicken, I think it was.
Now, Gav, before
chicken, mate.
we
chicken
hope the
charcoal.
Gav, you know what we should do right now?
What
we
are we
should
gonna
call
do?
Chicken Charcoal to sponsor Football S.
Well, why not? Are they
Sponsor
still around?
to get him or to get you to actually sponsor your segment, Gav. We got to get somebody for this one. How's
I
that?
understand, Harry. Yeah.
Now,
mate, understand, yeah, fair
these
enough.
shirts, you might have called them Essendon colours, but this is exactly what came from our new spot.
Exactly.
No, it's not. He had them and he had them there and he showed me these.
That's
And the
what
thing is,
Harry says.
Now, we are a new sponsor that's come on tonight right now, Arrow Sport, guys.
Everybody there?
Arrow Sport. Adrian is our sponsor from
Adrian.
Arrow Sports for 2 months with these shirts. Fantastic,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah, good.
They feel beautiful. They're great.
Okay.
And the thing about these are, they're available and there is only one football site.
And can I also add to that, Harry? Gav probably doesn't know, but he's going to get excited when I announce something now, Gav.
Yes.
Now, clean your ears out. Have you got enough battery power on your phone? We don't. I'm
not again,
about
mate.
to say something, so I don't want your phone to go flat. Now, we are going to be supplying you with a one-off jumper of the football-less jumper here.
Yes.
It's going to be brown with a gold stripe. Are you happy with that?
Mate,
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Jumper, mate.
Excuse me?
Tell me we're all for one, mate. Come on, mate.
Well, it's not about Hawthorn. It's about...
a couple of weeks ago, mate. What's going on with you, mate? Honestly, come on, mate.
The lockdown has affected this bloke, as you can see.
Yes, mate. Exactly. Working with the government.
The lockdown's affected us all, mate. We've lost the plot here in Melbourne, mate. We're ready to storm Parliament House very short and storm
look-
the bloody thing
Oh,
with
right,
eggs and
right.
bloody rotten tomatoes, mate.
Now, sorry, Gav. Scotty has told me that when you were a youngster, you followed Hawthorn. Now, you can have that.
Oh, here we go again, mate. Jesus
Now, you can
Christ.
blame your brother Scotty for that. He gave me that info.
Blue
And
and red, blue and white,
I-
mate. Blue and white bleeds through me, mate.
North
Yeah,
Melbourne, mate. North Melbourne.
that's not what Scotty told me. But anyway.
Anyway.
Now, listen, remember
Gavin.
the great...
Something important to tell in a minute.
well, I've got something really important here. Do you remember the great Milan Ivanovic?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Well, look, I didn't have my time to do my research, but
Really?
a young fella by the name of Luke Ivanovic has
Who's he?
signed for Brisbane Roar.
Is he his
No,
son?
Okay, yeah. Then
Yes.
his son.
Well,
Oh,
I'll tell you
okay,
what, if you look at his noggin, it's a spitting image of his father.
Well,
and
okay.
picked him up from Sydney FC, Harry.
Jesus, I tell you what, right now, and
Oh,
you're
it's
going to be
like
telling
Sydney
Richard Bloody
FC.
Raw.
Richard Raw.
Richard Bloody Raw
What's he
should
got-
be coming on to talk about him. How's that?
Well,
next
why not?
week.
Let's get Richard on.
We'll get him next week as I talk about what Brisbane Raw are doing.
He's a bit...
Yeah, well, you know, it's going to be interesting, the A-League season. Like,
Yes.
I heard you talking before, Proffies, about Channel 10 and the A-League and Paramount Plus and
That's
stuff.
right.
And I agree with you. I'm hoping Channel 10 does exactly what you said. And,
I reckon they
We'll
will.
see. We will see.
really pumps it up and that, because there's going to be, let's face it, the FFA Cup's not happening this year, you know what I mean?
We're stuffed again.
That's going to be cancelled for the second year in a row, you know what I mean? Like, New
Ridiculous.
South Wales just cancelled their season.
I know.
Victoria, we're not far behind getting our season cancelled either, the way things are going.
Oh, mate, we've lost
So,
it.
I just hope that when the A-League season does start and,
know.
you know, like Channel 10 do pump it up a bit and get really behind it, and then people sign up to Paramount Plus, and then
That's right.
because I'll be signing up in September when the World Cup qualifiers start, because that's
Yes.
the only place you can watch it.
That's right.
Well, Gav, can I say this?
So
Channel 10 have got nothing to lose but everything to win by fully promoting the great game.
See what happens.
right,
Because
exactly.
if they take control in the advertising, whatever, ads in the paper, giveaways at grounds, under twos for free or something, then they're going to watch the game on TV. They might go to the ground and leave money, and hopefully the game can grow. Because Foxtel, let's be honest, Harry, the last couple of years, they didn't give a rat's bloody donkey's backside.
And
did
I'll
they?
tell you the big problem here right now with that show right
What's
now.
the
That
problem?
you got to have Frothy and Sunday there and Gab there talking about the bloody game on
Well,
like
why
a little show there, just a little section about us, mate, giving it
Right,
to you,
yes.
you mugs.
no, be good, mate. No, it'd be interesting. Be
That's
good,
right.
yeah. But
Now-
I'm looking like I was going to sign up for Paramount Plus now, but
$8 something.
because FFA Cup's not going ahead, or you know, as far as I can see, it's not going ahead, because how could it? You know, I mean, with everything that's going on in this country at the moment, you know what I mean? Like, it's I just don't. I see it getting cancelled, and I just kind of think, well, I'll wait till September and save me money.
That's
and when
right.
the World Cup qualifiers
Wait,
start,
have to wait,
that's
I'll
right.
sign up then,
Exactly.
mate, you know what I
When
mean? Like,
September
All right, boys.
ends.
Gavin, we don't know what's happening in the NPL Victoria. Is that right? What do they call it? It's a suspended animation. It's under ice. We're in ice, and that's what's going on. We're going to take the ice too in a minute if we don't bloody get started again.
Let's just say, Harry, we come out of lockdown maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, right?
And we're back in.
And then the government says, you can't have crowds.
I know.
You can't have crowds for the rest of the season or something like that. If that's the case, they may as well just cancel it. They may as well just give it away now, mate. You know
why don't we play the games on Zoom? They've been doing it on Zoom everywhere.
Well, listen, guys, let's be honest, Gav. We know what's happening with the Victorian soccer at the moment. Sweet FA, really. Yeah. I mean, that's about it. But listen, I watched... now, Harry, I don't know if you watched this. Yep, we got 22 seconds. That's right. 21, 20. Well, let me get this story.
We're about to expire.
Now, I watched some football, soccer on SBS, on the NITV
you saw I know what you saw.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I tell you what...
Original channel.
Yes, I tell you what, the big names of our game, whoever they may be, whether it's James Johnson or Harry Sunday, whoever they are, they got to take a trip up there.
Yes.
And get some of these kids and start working with them, because I tell you what, the stamina, the speed, the guts they got. It's a bit like watching Cyril Rioli from Hawthorn, kicking a soccer ball around. They need to get up there and get some of these guys here and give them an opportunity. Not these guys going around again like this Matty Simon. He's got to be... Well, how old is Matty Simon? He'd be 43 now, wouldn't he?
Of course.
I agree.
He may be an old man by now.
These
Football
old
Federation
guys
should put more money into Northern Territory.
Absolutely.
Top of Western Australia, North Queensland.
And guess what, Gavin?
Kids up there more opportunity.
Of course.
And guess what, boys?
What?
During the Women's World Cup, they better play one bloody World Cup game up there, to tell you the truth. They bloody will do it. They better do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, about the women's, the Olympics, did you hear about Sam Kerr?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, please.
Well, no, Sam Kerr's found... Yes, she might be getting married, and good luck to her. To a woman, which was nothing wrong with that.
Thank you, God.
We support all.
But they're all, a lot of them are like that.
Well, love is love, apparently. I mean, you can marry your dog if you like. Who gives a stuff as long as you're happy?
Okay, guys.
Right, Harry?
Guys, we're going to finish the show right now. Thank you for joining us. Of course, Gavin, thank you for joining us again. We have to get you on next week if we can with some more news. This state in the game, whatever it is.
Can we sing the Beatles or something?
We want to put what's his name
on?
What
about some Rolling Stones?
Guess who we want to get next week about talking about football to this bloke? Daniel Andrews.
Before I go, Harry as well, mate. Ange is flying. Celtic are flying.
They're doing all right.
They're going well, mate. It's going real well at the moment, mate.
Absolutely.
He's doing very well,
Hearts
actually.
in the League Cup on Sunday, so another win, hopefully. And then with the Ranger Old Firm derbies on the 29th, mate, of August. So
yes. Glasgow Rangers. Oh, yes.
Can't wait for that, mate.
Yes,
so Ange is flying. So I'll give you an update on Ange next week.
Yes, please. Just please. We want an update on what's going on. Is the only Australian coach coaching in Europe. Is that right?
Wow.
Correct, mate. Not just coaching in Europe, mate. Want to coach one of the biggest clubs in the world, mate.
That's right. Exactly. All right, boys. Thank you for joining us tonight, guys. Yes, it's football. Let's live again next week.
Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you, Gavin. ACDC, you can have them tonight.
It's a long way to the top if you want a sausage roll.
Thank you, guys, tonight. He can have a sausage roll later on. I know where it's going to. Feel it, man. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Football, this was live tonight in the CCP capital of Australia, Victoria, Melbourne, whatever it is. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Are we still on?
We're partying all on. We're all on. We're all gone. Finished, gone, done.
Is Gab still on?
Good night, guys. See you next week, 9 p.m. Friday night. Here we go.
She bangs.
The cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time. Don't never stop. We gotta know.
Right from the
should have known. Right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet.
That's the one, yes. And we go to get it and really want it.
He's lost it. I feel it in your soul. You
Next
want
week,
the cup
Flash
of
News.
life.
Next week, we're going to have Daniel Andrews on the show.
Do you really? I want him here. I want him here.
We're going to get Big Dan Andrews here. The guy that's got the big ears.
Ali,
and maybe we'll get the Queensland Premier. What's her name?
Anastasia. Good night, guys. I can't stop laughing. See you next week, 9 p.m. Friday night. We're going to have some massive guesting in for you. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hi guys, Harry Sunday here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone. All that sporting stuff you can wear anywhere you want to wear it, guys. That's right. And don't forget the website it's on, thereisonlyonefootball.com.
There is only one football.